there, Mr. Midnight. And you knock him dead.
I enjoyed the hell out of Late Night with the Devil, and I want to start off by making that clear right away. This is one of those films where there's a big problem in its execution that I'm gonna go into detail about, and that'll probably make me sound like I'm down on the film. But the opposite is true. This is a strong contender for my top 10 films of the year. And that's coming from someone who isn't a big horror fan. And even of the ones I do like, the demonic possession subgenre that endlessly echoes back to the original Exorcist is pretty far down on my list. But Late Night with the Devil manages to overcome all of that. It's fun, it's creative, it's got one of my favorite acting performances of the year so far, and it manages to be scary without relying on those annoying jump scares. That being said, it has a problem. It couldn't stick to its own gimmick. The movie is structured like a late 70s satanic panic era documentary, chronicling the final episode of a fictitious late-night talk show, Night Owls with Jack Delroy. It starts off with a 5-minute intro narration from Michael Ironside as he explains how Delroy found initial success but could not overtake industry titan Johnny Carson in the ratings. By this point, he's doing just about anything to try and get a ratings win. His latest stunt is dedicating a Halloween-themed episode to a psychic, an illusionist turned skeptic, a paranormal psychologist, and her patient, a teenager who survived a satanic cult's mass suicide and is probably possessed by something. And after giving the backstory and desperate situation Delroy finds himself in, we watch what's supposed to be the episode. And it's filmed like how a live late-night show would have looked from that time period. 4:3 aspect ratio, static cameras, live studio audience, commercial breaks, the works. And it starts off completely normal until things slowly start going off the rails and hell literally breaks loose. It's a great setup. The problem is that the movie strains against its own structure almost immediately. Filmmakers, like the guys over at Red Letter Media, have already pointed out that the editing and camera movements make it feel less like a documentary and more like an actual film. But even ordinary viewers like me will notice the film switching from 4:3 to widescreen whenever the behind-the-scenes interactions take place. The hand-wave explanation is that there was also a documentary crew filming on the set, but the characters never act as though there's a camera crew nearby. And given some of the conversations we get as the film goes on, that gets pretty distracting. Then as the supernatural stuff kicks into high gear in the final 20 minutes, the movie drops the documentary shtick altogether. We get a long scene that's later claimed to just be an illusion, another may or may not be taking place inside Delroy's head, and we get a cut to black finish. It's only once the credits start rolling that you're hit with the realization, oh, they just gave up on the idea, didn't they? And the only reason I'm harping on it this much is that it kept pulling me out of what's otherwise a really compelling story. You'll see the demonic possession stuff coming a mile away, but the build-up is excellent, the payoff is great, and the movie still manages to surprise you with its ending, all while never truly leaving the studio set. This could have been a stage play just as easily as it could have been a surprise special on Adult Swim, and that's hard to do. And none of it would work as well as it does were it not for Desmalchian as Delroy, playing a charismatic but emotionally damaged person. You can see in his opening monologue why the character would want to be a TV host. He's got the comedic timing and natural charm down. But you can also see why he never would have been able to beat Carson. There's a layer of sadness to his presentation. Even when the jokes are funny, they're delivered with a sense of him saying internally, "Please laugh. I need this." And even though we're inclined to root for him, the more we find out what he's been willing to do for a shot at success, the more pitiful he becomes, forcing you to reassess all of his interactions on a second watch. It's a hell of a performance. Late Night with the Devil is great, but flawed. I hope this opens more doors for Desmalchian, and I'm psyched to see what the directors do next, even if they stepped in it with that whole AI controversy. This one's already on Shudder, and if you didn't catch it when it first came out back in April, it's worth a watch now, or wait until October. It's gonna make for a hell of a spooky season flick. Thanks for watching.